these movies will change the way you look at life, cinema, and your own existence forever after watching them. Me and DadMan put together our list, 10 films each. I have some honorable mentions that I just want to briefly say, after we do our list. But
he narrowed it down to 50.
I have 10. The 10 I found enjoyable, and then the honorable mentions are either barely a 3 out of 3 or lower. DadMan, I think the best way to go about this is maybe go back and forth. So would you like to go first, or would you like to go second?
Yes, I'll go first. Matrix.
Yeah, so clearly that kind of broke the
thing
mold.
About the Matrix is, so in the Matrix, if you're in the Matrix, you're not aware of that you're in the Matrix. But is it any different than real life? Because life or reality is perception, and that's all it is. Your life in the Matrix is just your perception of your life.
Yeah,
that's controlled by whatever
the overlords.
Yeah.
It takes looking at it.
It's no different. It isn't. I mean, I would like. Well, you're in the Matrix. That's like I don't care. I mean, if you enjoyed your life, you say I want to stay in the Matrix. I don't. What would I want to leave?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, especially if you're Neo, where you can like be the best at everything and pick up everything super quickly.
Right.
But my number one. Do you want to say anything more about it before?
That's the biggest thing about. I mean, I love that movie, but that is the thing about the Matrix that, in my like why it's mind bending to me. It's like being in the Matrix is just real life. It's just everything.
Perception is reality.
Just perception. Yeah, it's just a perception.
So, and this isn't me attempting to one-up you. I did World on a Wire by Rainer Werner Fassbender, which is kind of The Matrix before The Matrix. 1973, based on the same book that inspired The Matrix.
Okay.
So you get, I mean, for everything you said about The Matrix.
When is it, 1973?
Yes. And Rainer Werner Fassbender is like one of those, he's a very highly regarded.
Well, you're going to have to, I didn't bring anything to write with. Oh, wait, I have stuff right here. Because I would like to see that then. So,
sorry, folks. He is German.
All right. So
it's in German.
Okay, never mind.
It inspired The Matrix, but also kind of inspired Blade Runner, which I know you haven't seen, but I like Blade Runner. Actually,
everybody likes Blade Runner.
I actually like Blade Runner more than The Matrix. No offense, but it's true.
Cool. No offense.
So go forth, young Padawan.
All right, none of these are in order. This is one
I don't have any order either.
I like Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise.
I haven't seen it, and I should.
You should. I mean, you just do not know it's coming. You don't know the change that's coming. You just have no idea at all. So I would recommend it.
Yeah, I think I have a misconception as to what that movie is. Because I never even knew that there was like a thing.
Oh, it's the whole movie is that thing. It's the plot twist or the change.
Yeah.
And, well, you understand why it's called Vanilla Sky at the end. But, well, the reason, that was his mother's favorite color. She painted, and that was his mother's, like, favorite color, or talked about Vanilla
Is he
Sky.
a good actor in it?
Tom Cruise is a good actor. I mean, he's a good actor. He is. I mean, he got away from, like, he was in a movie called Born on the 4th of July, where he was just exceptional. Okay?
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
He's a good actor, but he just got so into action movies.
These type
you don't
cast
act. You don't act that much in those. It's physical acting, and but he can act. And so in this movie, I think he was probably the absolute right. He was the right person for the part.
The boy's got chops.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Alrighty, now we're to the beginning.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Pulled the microphone off the table.
DadMan fell.
I did not fall. I tripped.
You're going to find this obnoxiously pretentious. It's a really weird film. I went for some really off-the-wall ones. It's called...
That's what it is. That's a subject matter.
Birds, Orphans, and Fools by Urab Jabisco. Jabisco.
Is he an Earthling, or is he from perhaps a different planet?
Czechoslovakian during the... Are you familiar with the Prague Spring, historically, when they had their independence for a short period of time from the Soviets?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, so anyways, they had this brief period of liberty, or, being liberated.
Yeah.
And he makes this film where the characters kind of act as though they're existing in a fantasy world, as there's wars going on around them. And I think it's set in World War II, but I'm not positive. But it's a parallel or metaphor for the actual kind of fear that this guy's living in Czechoslovakia. They get their liberty. He can make this film. But you would have to assume that Soviets were looming large over them, that they would take it back.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
That kind of just like, okay, well, just maybe if we act like it's not going to happen, it won't.
Yeah.
Or at least
let's pretend like it's not and live our lives free of, future.
So when you can see a film that's like deeply, deeply symbolic like that, and it's really weird and it's really art house, but I have a basis to try to understand it. It makes it all the better. I think it's very good. You can watch it on YouTube, and I would recommend it, especially if you like kind of more artistic films.
Yeah. 12 Monkeys, I love.
Very cool. Super sci-fi bent. I mean, okay, so here is something I'm very glad you actually added it to your list. Someone, either in the comments or I looked into it myself, the chick at the end
on the plane
was going to eradicate him. That wasn't her in the past. Damn, everything is falling today.
Yeah.
She went to the past. So he did get the message through, and he had to sacrifice himself, but
she kills him?
Or they're going to get the sample from him. What did she say she was? She was...
insurance.
Insurance. She was the insurance policy.
They sent her back.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank whoever said that. Thank you so much. Because I just never understood why she was there.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Cool little tidbit.
Wow.
Hopefully y'all listening, maybe you guys will think we're retarded.
Well, I mean, they don't... Well, some do who saw that movie maybe said, why is the scientist in present day, in the past, on the plane with him?
And I just think she does an exceptional job of blending in, because if she went back, you'd be like, because she seems so weird in the present day, I guess. Anything else you'd like to add?
Now I understand why she's in insurance. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a cheeky little nod to
what
she's doing.
Sweet. I have... is it my turn?
You just won.
Okay. My next movie...
You'll actually be pissed that I included this.
Why is every movie...
You have no idea. Okay.
This one was from before they made films.
This is a guy named Neil Breen. And we watched 2 of his movies when I went on vacation.
Okay.
And he is like Tommy Wiseau in that his films are so atrocious that they are actually really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And he has like 4 or 5 different seemingly major plot lines that just don't get resolved in Fateful Findings. If you like movies that are so bad they're good, Fateful Findings is very good. But if you don't, then don't ever watch it, because
If you
it is
don't
so
like
bad.
stupid movies, don't watch it.
Well, and here's the thing too. We had like there was like 6 or 7 of us in the theater room watching it, and we were just all like ragging on it. It was like Mystery Science Theater 3000, and that's the way to experience
That guy was missing an arm before. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, it might be worth watching just to understand how bad films can actually be. I mean, it's like this guy doesn't have a grasp on reality. He's like, he just doesn't understand how things work.
Okay. I got some good ones here. Well, that I considered good. The Machinist.
I want to see that. Well, I heard it wasn't great, but I heard it's a huge physical transformation for Bale.
Yeah. I don't know. For you, I'd recommend it. I think you would appreciate it.
So you think more people who like it's more not pretentious. Well, we'll just say that.
Well,
that
not so
crowd
much
would
that.
like it more.
It's like it's definitely not a feel-good movie.
Yeah. I wouldn't feel good
movie.
just looking at him.
Like
Just seeing someone that skinny just makes you feel.
Well, and I think obviously that's part of it. It's like, we want to make you look ugly, and
Sickly.
almost close to death.
Yeah.
No, I would highly recommend that for somebody who kind of wants their mind blown. I mean, it's a mind-blowing movie.
Okay.
So, I don't want to say more than that.
Yeah, this is a deep, deep cut in cinema. People might not even know this director. Shinya Sakamoto directs Vital. This is a film. This guy has a bad brain injury. It happens while he was driving with his girlfriend. He was very academically inclined, but wanted to be a cartoonist or like an anime drawer, animator. Has the head injury, and it like kind of changes his personality to where he decides, I'm going to go back and try to be a doctor again.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to the portion of med school where you get a cadaver, and it ends up being his girlfriend. And in what do you call it when you're like opening up a cadaver?
Incision?
The autopsy. When he's doing the autopsy on her, it's almost as though he goes into his mind, and it's almost like they're spending time together again, even though he really doesn't remember her super well.
Okay.
It's just a really weird
That could
plot.
be a really, yeah. And really cool. Identity is very, very good. Just
Who is in that?
John Cusack.
I haven't seen that.
Identity is very, very good. Very good. Gotta watch it.
I will. I definitely will do that. And Ray Liotta's in it.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
My next one is one that may be on both of our lists. I think it was the movie that inspired this idea from you, though I could be wrong. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I didn't put it on the list, but it could and should be on it. Yeah.
It's incredibly. I mean, I bawled hard after watching that. I don't know, it just hit me in a way that someone could be torn from you. Yeah. Just the prospect of that.
Yeah.
I found really emotional.
I would watch Source Code.
Very good, yeah. Kind of tinkering with the mind again.
Yeah.
Very similar to Eternal Sunshine.
It's parallel universe type thing where going back in the past and you can vary what happens.
That didn't happen.
Oh my God.
Dad, I looked it up. And you apologized.
Well, how did they know?
Avert that. I think it already happened.
Ew.
How are they streaming
I remember the scene.
How are they streaming his... I remember the scene you're thinking about, too. They all get off the train, and it didn't happen. Through his perception. Like he's
No,
living.
no. Do
he's
you
living
remember
on
his
so
like
the
his
person?
contact? There was a woman, and she's another thing. No,
Can just
my interpretation
talking to the mic and
is
say I
superior
was wrong.
to the
You were
numbnuts
right.
who go on Wikipedia. That's what I admit to. You got to make this big deal every time I make a mistake, don't you?
You were so.
You're like Kramer. You're like
were so
Kramer.
adamant that you were right, though,
To do what they did.
because he was going to bomb another place. He was able to go back into the memory and see the license plate of the dude. He got to live on because it's almost like
He lives in a sphere, or no?
he basically
like
lives in
iron
a
lung.
he basically lives in a collective consciousness. It's almost like the fact that other people experienced that memory with him and that he saw them, they are a part of it with him. I don't even know that they're actually real, the other people. I don't think they're actually, I think they might be actually dead. But just because he met them, they exist in this consciousness,
I have to watch it
this perception of the reality.
because they have this. They've had a project called Source Code.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the end, somebody saying to the colonel, lieutenant, whatever she was, anything, because they're always on the lookout to use source code. And she said, no, nothing, nothing going on. And it's because they diverted it.
No, I think it was the guy covering for him so they didn't pull him out of that. To use
I gotta
him.
watch it again.
To use him again. And also, maybe it pulls in the consciousness of the people who interact with the main guy. And maybe so they are like somewhat in an afterlife with him. But I'm not sure. All I'm
movie?
I have, and I even looked it up. It's not. He doesn't change the past. He's able to help prevent future.
Well, I didn't say he changed the past. He changed. I don't know.
You don't
whatever.
know.
You're wrong. Okay,
don't know.
go ahead.
This one we've covered in depth. I just think it's just a really fucking odd and weird, wild and works type of movie, and it's Love, Liza. That was a weird noise. Anywho,
Yeah,
that's weird.
Part of it.
It's so weird of
Yeah.
a movie, and it's hilarious at the same time. For a movie about a guy with a huffing gasoline addiction and a love of RC planes to be that funny is just... It has no right to be that funny, and yet it is. I like it.
I gotta finish it.
You're never going to finish it.
I might finish it.
What
I
say
probably
you
won't.
next?
I like The Butterfly Effect. That's the only movie I saw what's his face and I liked.
You did like cool sci-fi twist. I kind of, my list is more like strange.
Okay.
Would irreverent be a word that works there?
No.
What is irreverent? I'm not even gonna look it up.
It means to kind of make fun of something that's sacred.
No, it's not irreverent. But yeah, what was it again?
Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, probably my favorite Ashton Kutcher movie.
It's the only one I think I liked him in.
Well, I mean,
You didn't make
there's a
fun.
nice way to say what I said, and then there's the way
There's
you
my
said
way.
it.
But I liked, because I don't know, it was cool because some of the different versions of what could happen were pretty brutal.
Yeah, very intense and very dark.
Yeah.
My next one, Werner Herzog. We've talked about him before. Heart of Glass. He literally hypnotizes like 95% of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
That alone makes this one of the weirdest movies of all time. It's just a very strange thing to do.
Well,
And it shows like they act kind of strange
Okay.
in the movie. Also, it's pretty good, so I just recommend it based on that. But it has a weird backstory, so... what say you?
I liked Looper.
Looper was also good, yeah. Yours are just all cool sci-fi movies.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. Looper was awesome. It was just unusual, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Most of mine have some type of almost like time travel or
Time mechanic.
yeah,
Or brain, how we perceive stuff.
right.
But yeah, I like Looper. The only thing that doesn't work, and I didn't come up with this on my own. I don't even know how old I was when that movie came out. They said it doesn't make them. Do you remember they torture the one guy in the past and it shows up in the present? So like they cut his fingers off, and they carve something into his arm. Well, and I know in time travel can work very differently, but he also would have lived the entirety of the time in between when whatever time they did that torture in him now. So he wouldn't just be like, oh my God, where'd my fingers go? It'd be like, you've been living without that finger for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But I give it a pass because it is very cool.
Yeah. That part where he just parts of his body just start disappearing.
Yeah.
He's trying to run.
Yes. It was definitely worth it.
You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Why did they have to kill those guys? The loopers.
Fuck if I know.
That's what I don't
They knew too much. They became too powerful.
No, that's not it.
It's kind of like Star Wars meets Jurassic Park. Meets...
Okay.
Wait, you already
I like Inception.
Okay, you doubled up, you greedy bastard.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we'll go Inception.
Ahead. No,
Inception.
what Hungarian film?
We'll go
was
Inception.
Unusual?
Actually, World on Wire, they said it did have some inspiration on Inception too.
Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, Inception's cool. A dream within a dream. Some people aren't with it, but I am. And it's also perception versus reality. I mean, when you're in a dream, you generally have no idea that you're in a dream.
Right.
So
unless you do. And then
which has happened to me on one occasion that I can very vividly recall, but besides that, I'm generally...
That's when I think your sleep starts to...
They also make the dream too realistic. I think if you were to watch your dreams back after the fact, they would be so fucking weird.
Mine never make any sense.
You'd be like, how did I think this was real?
My wife's are like super rational, and it's like I couldn't find the mop, and mine don't make any sense. I mean, they're non...
Just like out of this world.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Nonsensical.
Yeah, it's just like there's no reason or rationality. They're not about my life, things on my life, generally. Yeah. Sometimes there's, But go ahead with your black and white.
It's not black and white, but it is foreign, and people are like, y'all gotta watch
make movies
this.
In this country. You've seen a few, I think.
I know, but, it's definitely good to branch out, and I would encourage any viewer. This is actually one of the lowest rated of my proper 10, but it's definitely worth watching. It's called The Coffee Table, and spoiler alert.
They drink coffee.
This guy buys a new coffee. It's actually kind of funny, but it's a horror movie. This guy buys a coffee table. His wife is like adamant to not get it. She thinks it looks like shit.
Right.
The guy says it's unbreakable glass. Okay? They just had a child. Do you see where I'm going with this at all yet?
And lay the child on the unbreakable glass.
While he's putting the table together, he drops the child on the table, and the kid gets decapitated.
Okay. And
the head rolls under a chair, and he just puts the baby in the crib like nothing happened, because he just like is basically in denial, but also is like, my wife's gonna find out sooner or later. Yeah. But he just tries to play it cool until he can come up with a good time to tell her. They have company over, and then it's his brother and his brother's new girlfriend, and one of them ends up seeing it's a decapitated baby in the crib, and starts freaking the fuck out, and the wife's like, what happened? Let me see. And then she ends up seeing it, and it's like, just, they end up, I'm not going to spoil anymore. but that's like 90% of the movie.
All right.
Should I just spoil the ending?
Yeah, go ahead.
They end up taking their own lives. And the brother is like, he saw the dead baby, his brother and sister-in-law. He's like literally just repeating the same thing over and over again as he's in a cop car. They're like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah. That, I don't know what made me, reminded me of Jeffrey Dahmer when you said that. But he would do these things because he wanted to turn them into zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He injected somebody with something into their brain.
Yeah, he would drill into their skulls.
Yeah.
And he would try like hot boiling water.
I don't know. Like,
and then like battery acid.
What made you think this would... I mean, it almost sounds so like just try a random thing and it may work type thing, you know?
Well, at this point, he was like, I mean, I guess I'll have an endless supply of these to do trial and error on.
Yeah.
He's like, and even if I mess it up, I'm still cool with that too.
Yeah, true. Shutter Island is my last. I know you'll probably have 5 or 6 more, obviously.
How'd you know?
Because you already said so. It's good. It is not what you expect.
Yeah, another mind bender.
Yeah, because you're really into the plot. Because remember, they kept talking about Patient 39 or something like that.
Yeah, there was like this.
I don't understand that part though. Why did they create that? Unless it was him. Was he Patient 39?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Well,
I think so. And they basically wanted him to come to the conclusion of what happened on his own.
I just don't understand. I mean, so
it was a new type of therapy to see if he could come to terms with what he had done.
Because he was in total denial.
Yeah.
So?
Well, that's kind of what the coffee table was.
Yeah.
But, well, he knew, but he was like, I'm fucked. Next one.
Get rid of that coffee table.
Is a very fucked up film. Michelle Hanukkah. It's called The Piano Teacher, and the reason I put it on here is because I did an in-depth analysis on it. There's a specific pianist that this girl composer is kind of obsessed with, and she gets like in this love affair with this student who's basically like a prodigy. And I think the story that's trying to be told is this girl studied this composer's life and is trying to become like kind of dark and demented because that's who that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks it'll make her a better artist. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a Black Swan type of story.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the student who's like a natural, which also the actual guy, so I think it's Franz Schumann is the composer, but anywho, like just in studying him, he was the same way. He was like the youngest teacher at this very prolific school. Prestigious, yeah. And he's able to just kind of like toy with the idea of being like dark and depraved, mm-hmm. but not have it being his whole thing. So she had let it consume her,
right.
and never gets to that level. And this guy just dabbles in it, and he's like, "Fuck, all right, I mastered it. I'm Franz Schumann level good."
Okay.
So it's just very brutal, depraved, cold, and like to the bone type of story. Very well done.
Next,
Sallow, 120 Days. That's just crazy because it's you take the sadist Bible essentially and you make it into a metaphor about how bad the Nazis were in Italy.
Oh.
So I mean, there's weird shit, no pun intended, but also to be able to think to do that is pretty interesting. These next 4 are...
That's it. You get 4 more.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about them. I'll just give kind of a brief overview or why I included them, although you're familiar with one. One is called The Gift. And The Gift in this documentary is you got AIDS. It's AIDS. AIDS is the gift. And they talk to people who were like, yeah, I thought my life would be so much better once I got AIDS. And the point of the film is to, I guess, because they needed more of this in the early 2000s, is to say it's not a gift. Even though we have treatment for it, you should probably not want to get AIDS. Which I know sounds asinine, but I guess it was a thing in the gay community in the early 2000s, maybe late 1990s, where there was spreading parties. Yeah, there was, I forget what the fuck they called them.
AIDS party?
Kinda, yeah.
Well, I know
people would get it's the bio...
Biopsy?
No, if something is a biochemical, like, warning... Do you know what I'm talking about? What that looks like? They would get that tattooed on their shoulders to mean, like, I'm HIV positive. That's a weird fucking documentary.
I'm not surprised, I guess, but it is odd, though, to want that fatal disease.
I agree. Next is a Gaspar Noé film. I've talked much about him. I don't recommend this. It's actually my lowest rated film by him, but it's so fucking weird, as are actually all of his films. But it's called Lux Eternal. It's a pseudo documentary about witch trials, and the lady who you actually know from Antichrist, Charlotte Gainsbourg, is on the thing that you would be burned at the stake as.
Yeah.
But there's an LED screen in the background that's supposed to make it look like a green screen, but it's using LEDs. And then it just starts going fucking nuts. Like if you have epilepsy, you cannot watch this movie.
Right.
You'll literally have an epileptic. You'll probably die because it goes for like way too fucking long. And the fact that anyone would even make a passable movie with something like that, it's supposed to assault the senses.
Okay.
I mean, and I still gave it a 3, but it's my least favorite. Serbian film.
Yeah.
That's just fucking gnarly. And then I watched another one that I find equally as not good as a Serbian film called I Cut Your Flesh, which is a documentary about a girl who is into blood play. So she will get cut and pierced because she's into that.
Okay.
I would not recommend that.
That's not even really that odd anymore. I've seen people that get, those, what are those things they put in your ear gauges?
Gauges, yeah.
Well, people will get them in their back. And what they do is they will do it so that they can be suspended by a hook.
She got her back pierced. She got suspended by her above the knee and by her back, too.
Yeah.
Which the above the knee one actually is fucking
that doesn't
disgusting.
The back, I mean, neither one, but above the knee looks like it would be incredibly painful.
And then I think they did like scarification on her where they took a scalpel to her back and just put multiple
cuts.
Yeah. She got like her forehead just pierced. Not to put piercings in, but just to...
I've seen people do the oddest body modifications.
Some people get amputations as body mods.
Well, yeah, that's called body dysphoria. Well, it's not always body dysphoria, but it can be. I think they mentioned it before, where people feel that a part of their body should not be there.
Yeah.
And that's body dysmorphia. And then there's what you're talking about, which may be the same thing or maybe something different. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
mental illness.
I think it could have been something, but it felt more pornographic than documentary.
Different kind of pornography.
Yeah. And
did she have anything removed?
No.
Part of her body?
Yeah, no. So to your point, I wasn't like, it's not one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, and also it didn't focus enough on her mindset.
Yeah.
Like, you have to ask good questions if you're going to do what they did. You know, like
Yeah.
it just didn't work.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah, like what did you have an inclination towards this as when you were younger? How did
Yeah.
you start? When did
Yeah,
you
what was
start
the first
amplifying it?
right, what was the first thing it started with?
Was it just a partner you had that convinced you, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just really didn't cover any of the bases that you really should if you're going to do something like that.
Well,
But
I mean, you can do it either way. You know, you can just show someone doing that, and everybody wants to know why. I don't know. I don't know how you would.
yeah, but to your point, I get you need to. This is where I'm gonna sound like a fucking sociopath. It has to be more extreme though.
If
I
you
mean, it
just
has
do
to be
that
someone
way.
who's like, yeah, like
Well, yeah, because that. I mean, as bad as it sounds, it's people that do way worse. I mean, they'll put things under their skin. They'll split their tongue. They'll put horns in.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are guys, and they'll be completely tattooed and shit
Yeah.
like that. It just wasn't like there's this one online kind of story. There's this girl, and I can't remember what her username was, and it was on a site. I think it was called Tumblr, and she would harm herself
For money.
with no, just to post it online.
Yeah.
And some of the photos, they're like, we aren't sure if these are real or not. And the reason is because they seem so extreme
Yeah.
that they could be life threatening. They're like the only way is if she had a specific medical condition where she would coagulate faster. Because she would do ones on her thighs where it's like,
Very big cuts.
and very deep, where it's like she could have nicked her femoral artery and it just been
That's over.
it's game. But they're like she would take photos where you would see scars that are like like she definitely
Shit
fucking
up bad.
yeah like all just littered like every square inch and that's
don't
it's
understand
such
that.
a
Well, I mean, I feel badly for someone like that. I guess. I mean, I assume that they're not a happy person.
I think a lot of it, and you know, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think it's self punishment a lot of times. I think people say it's because they want to feel something, but I think what they're leaving out is they want to feel pain, like they're being punished.
Probably in some cases probably true.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not. I'm not a psychologist either.
I mean, they could be
No.
deeply depressed and they just don't actually, like, and that's why they want to feel something.
Right. Right.
But, yeah, I just never, like, reach out to someone. Don't ever do that because you're not, you are worth more than that.
Right. Yeah. That's something you have to get to the root of and figure out a way to stop it.
And like that, and like I feel like our conversation is like already infinitely more interesting than the documentary I saw, because that's stuff you could ask. I mean, you like, I think to an extent, maybe they wanted to promote this niche subculture, and that's the point of the doc.
Right.
So they don't like they wouldn't even ask those questions because it can be seen as pointing a negative light
Yeah.
at them. But that's why normies would want to watch it.
Right. It's like, I mean, half of the doc should be about her personality or what brought her to this point, you know, her upbringing and
Yeah.
just feelings about life and her past and everything. But if you don't even cover that,
Then it's
It
like
just-
it just feels
it's-
very void of
it's
meaning.
a type of pornography. I don't know
Yeah.
what to call it.
Sexploitation, you could
No.
call it.
It's not sex related.
Well, BDSM or extreme hardcore
Yeah, but there wasn't like
actual
another, like, it's got to be two people. I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
what do they call it? Exhibitionist.
Yeah, but that's still not. That's someone who just, like, walks around in a nude.
Well, I think if you get to like the root of the definition though, it's like you like displaying
Exposure?
your sexuality. And to her this is like how she
Well, you don't know that, though.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Anywho, those are ours. My ten I would recommend, and Dad's 10 I would recommend for sure. I mean, those are just good movies.
They're good movies, yeah, with cool endings. And, obviously, well, if you haven't seen any of those, I think you'll enjoy the reveal.
Yeah. Mine's for the more, if you're willing to walk off the trodden path.
Right, yeah.
If you want to go out on a limb, you probably haven't seen them, and I would give them a go.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll catch you on
The flippity flip.